Hello, welcome to the Von and Darren's bass lessons. We're going to have a look at chords today and how chords are built, and we're going to learn them on the bass. We're going to start off with a basic dominant chord, so the dominant seventh chord. So we're going to look at the intervals within that chord and the interval numbers, and we're going to build that from a seventh chord to a ninth chord to an 11th chord all the way up to a 13th chord, and look at the finger positions on the bass and just learn these as arpeggios and learn what they sound like as actual harmonic chords when I put the notes together, or as many notes as I can together to give us the sound of those chords. So here goes. We're going to do this in the key of G, and we're going to start off with a basic triad first. So a triad are the three fundamental notes you need to make a basic major or minor chord. We're going to make a major chord here, so we're going to use note number 1, and through the scale, so if we had G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or whatever, we would use note number 1, number 3, and number 5. So number 1 would be G. So we've got G, A, B would be number 3, G, A, B, C, D would be number 5. So G, B, and D will give us a basic triad. So we've got the G on the 3rd fret of the E string, the B on the 2nd fret of the A string, and with the little finger, the D on the 5th fret of the A string. And we call that a triad chord, 3-note chord. So root note, 3rd note, 5th note. We can play it here. First note here, put the 3rd there and the 5th there if we want to, or there. It's up to you which one you want. It's good to work them both out, obviously, so you get to know the fretboard and where the notes are on the bass. So the next note we're going to add into that is a 7th, so we're going to learn about a G7 chord. So you would see this spelt in a chord chart as G7. And that's a dominant 7th chord. In some situations you might see it spelled as G dom 7, so that's very specific. It's definitely G dominant 7th. But if you ever see just G7, it is a dominant 7th chord. It's nothing else. It's a G7 chord. It's built up as note number 1, 3, 5, and the 7th. Now the 7th is a flattened 7th. It's not the diatonic 7th out of the major scale. If I just show you the pattern of it, it might be a bit easier. So the G is here. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F is our 7th note, which is on the 3rd fret again, but just 2 strings down on the D string. So that's always a 7th interval. So from the G to the F there is a 7th. So if we add that then from the G, the B, the D, and the F, so we get a dominant 7th chord. And I can play that as a chord on the bass. There we go. So if you choose the G, the B, and the F there, I've left the D out because I can't play the 3rd and the 5th on the same string, but I could play it there. And there we have another inversion of the same chord with the G, the F, and the B higher up here. The 3rd higher up, some people might call it a 10th, but really it's just the 3rd. So then I said we would extend these further then. So after the 7th, we've got the octave. We're going to skip the octave out, don't need that. We want the 9th note of the scale. That's going to give us a different flavour to the chord. It's going to give it a different quality. So we have the G, the B, the D, which is the 5th, the 7th, and then we have the 9th note, which is A. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, which is then the 2nd fret of the G string, or it's there on the 7th fret of the D string. So we've got G, B, D, F, A. So really great thing is just get your fingers around. Or we can take the other position in. So there's the G there, we've got the B, the D, we've got the F, and we can put the A there. Now when you get used to the triad shapes, you'll see that a lot of these extended chords where we've got the 9ths on and the 11ths and the 13ths, they actually look like 2 triads stacked on top of each other if you look at the bass. So for instance we've got the G, B, D, and then we've got the F to the A, which is already a major 3rd interval there. So now the next interval we're going to put on there is the 11th, which is going to make a G9 at the 11 chord. So it's what we would call kind of like a suspended chord really. So we've got the G9 at the 11th, which is a C. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. 11 notes up. So G, B, D, F, A, C. So we've got 2 triads straight away. So we've got the G major triad and the F major triad. But you put those together and we end up with this chord. Or this chord. that's the 9th, so we're going to put the 11th on. We're going to get that C up on there now, which is there, beautiful sound. We can put the 3rd in as well if we wanted to do. We can't put the 9th in as well at this time because they're on the same string. So there's your G11 chord. Now that gives us a suspended chord. What we can do with that is, when I mentioned before about putting the 3rd higher up on here, we can take the 11th back a semitone, which gives us what we could call the 10th. But really, it's just the 3rd, an octave higher. You never really see a chord what says G10. It would just say G7 or G9 or G11. It would never say G10. You never see that. So we just, the 3rd's one of the most important, second most important note in the chord house. I think it determines whether it's major or minor after the actual root note. So we'll just stick to calling that 3rd. So there we go, there's the 3rd. There's the 11th again. And we can put that into a different position. So we've got the G, the B, the D, the F, A, and the B there. And then extending up from that again is the 13th chord, so the G13 chord. So you might have seen a chord chart with G13, which again is the dominant chord. It's built up of the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10th, or whatever we want to call it, the 3rd higher, and then the 13th on top of that. So the 13th on top of the G chord will be an E. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So we've got the E there. So we can just take, I'm going to use the other positioning for this. So we set with the first finger on G, we've got the G, the B, the D, the F, the A, the C, and then the E. Now remember the C there, that's the 11th, so we've just made that into a suspended 13th chord actually, or a 13th add 11. If we just want a dominant normal 13th chord, we're going to bring that C back to the B there. Okay, so there's the 13th chord. Here it is with the 11th in, so it's more suspended. So you can see there's another triad forming there, that's actually called the major 7th triad built up on the F. So you've got the G triad and then we're up on the F major. But don't get too confused about it just yet. Just learn the finger positions and the sounds. That's the suspended, so we're going to put that 11th back to the 3rd. And to hear these as chords as well, I could play an F arpeggio up here, so an F major 7th arpeggio. And that gives us the 13th chord there. Or I could put the 3rd in there. And that's how that chord sounds. It's a bit awkward on the bass to do it that way, but at least you can get the sound of it and you can learn where these chords are. And that's pretty much how we can start to work out more complex chord shapes on the bass and the arpeggios for those chord shapes. So there we go, so we started off with triads, where the 1, 3, 5, then we added the dominant 7th, then we added the 9, the 11th, brought the 11 back, put the 3rd in that, just to make it into a dominant 13th chord, added the 13th on there, and it's just a case of practicing those arpeggios. So 3rd fret, 7th fret, 5th fret on the A, 8th fret there, 7th fret again, 10th fret, 9th fret, or that was the suspended 13, or the 13 and 11. Then we've got the G, the B, the D on the 5th fret, the F on the 8th fret, the A on the 7th fret, then the B on the 9th fret, and then up to the 13th again. So have a practice on those and just work on getting your fingers underneath. And when you feel really confident with that first pattern, and it's really under your fingers and working well, put it into a different key, G sharp, put it up into A, so you're starting here. So we've got an A13 chord there, A flat 13, and then back to the G again. So I hope you have some fun with those and just learn them all up and down the bass. If you notice also, just before we do finish, these all start on the E string, because we're putting the 13th up on the whole layout of these 13th chords are using the 4 strings on the bass. So you're not really going to get the same position if you're going to start any chords on the A string. So keep these all on the E string. So there we go guys, thanks for listening.